Estamos vivo. En vivo otra vez. Déjame ver si está funcionando todo. Yo tuve unos problemas antes y por esa razón yo tuve que cambiar el tiempo. I had to change the time because I had a little technical difficulties. Voy a esperar un minuto más. Ojalá que todos pueden escuchar con el micrófono. Ojalá que sí. Y si no, qué vergüenza. Y básicamente hoy yo quiero hablar sobre siendo un nerd in Spanish. I think being a Spanish nerd is very important to help you stay motivated and kind of overall stay connected and stay organized as well during your Spanish learning journey. Because if I wasn't a nerd, more than likely I would not be learning Spanish. Probably not at all. Déjame ver. If I wasn't a Spanish nerd, I probably wouldn't be having this live stream. I wouldn't have this YouTube channel. I would not be studying basically at all. So it has helped me so much during my Spanish learning journey for staying motivated and really immersing myself in the culture and increasing my language skills. Because if I wasn't as passionate as I am right now about the language, then I wouldn't have the desire to really learn more, like learn more vocabulary and things like that. I would just say like at a basic level, if I even did start to learn Spanish, stay at a basic level and not try to improve my skills because I wouldn't have any desire to really immerse myself within the Spanish culture. And then being a nerd has led me to going on Instagram and posting about Spanish, has led me to Facebook posting about learning Spanish, and then also even on TikTok, and then now on YouTube. So there's been a lot of benefits of being a nerd in the Spanish language or of the Spanish language. Déjame ver acá. Ok, qué bueno. ¿Y qué más aparte de eso? Yo podría hablar todo el día sobre siendo un nerd para este idioma. Por ejemplo, yo trato de leer cada día en español, pero no funciona bien. Pero mi deseo a leer en español me ayuda a aprender y comprar más libros en español. Por ejemplo, acabo de comprar este libro, Padre Rico y Padre Pobre, porque me encanta aprender sobre las finanzas. En inglés y ahora en español. But it takes a lot of effort to read Spanish books for me, and a lot of consistency as well, which is why I haven't even started reading that. Well, I just got that one, but other books that I've read in the past has taken me a long time to finish. Por ejemplo, Corazón tan Blanco. I've started that back in May, and I'm still not finished yet, unfortunately. So that has been quite a challenge. Trying to read consistently, but then also there's a whole bunch of other ways of studying Spanish that I'm also trying to accomplish as well. So trying to find that balance. Y a la vez estoy aprendiendo francés, francés con español y haciendo mis videos de YouTube. I have to do like a big balancing act, but I think mostly I just need to start putting reading as like the first thing that I do when I'm like during my day when I'm learning Spanish. Because if I don't, I'm never going to think about it. Which is why I haven't really read for the past week. So that's been kind of embarrassing. It's been a pattern, as you can see, for the past few months that I have not been really reading consistently because I haven't been putting it like first on my list to do. Like if I get off work and then I go to the gym, like the first thing I should be doing is like reading before doing anything else. But I haven't been doing that. I've been putting it like on the like at the last on my list. So instead of reading first, I'll do practice speaking Spanish, talk with my friends, and like read something online. Hola, Acorn, Acorn the Snuggabun. You're back again. Bienvenidos a Livestream. ¿Cómo estás? How you doing? How's everything going? Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, depending on where you are. Bien. Okay. Good to know. So yeah, I'm just talking about being a Spanish nerd basically in this live stream, and how much fun it is, and how it has like completely changed my Spanish learning journey. And also, I think everybody should be a Spanish nerd as well, as a Spanish student. What did you say? Would you say that by yourself? Would you say that you are a Spanish nerd yet? I want to know like how many people truly are Spanish nerds. Oh, not say it in Spanish, just but like if you are one. And I honestly I don't know if there's a word for nerd in Spanish. I asked one of my friends from Guatemala, and he couldn't come up with one. So I have no idea if that word even exists in Spanish. But neither can I even think of one myself. I don't know how that would translate to Spanish really. Let's just do. I'll do a little poll actually. Are you a Spanish nerd? And I think it's important. Exactly. I really wanted to title this because I think it makes a big difference. Rather than just having live stream, I have Spanish nerd live stream because it like makes it more. How do I put it? Like someone, it makes it seem. It tries to. What I'm trying to do basically is promote Spanish more. So if I put Spanish nerd, I'm hoping people will see that title and be like, "Oh wow, this person's really, really immersed in the Spanish culture. He loves the Spanish language. I want to know more about Spanish now. You know, why is Spanish so? Why is it so impressive? Why do you want to learn it? Why do you like it so much? Why are you a Spanish nerd in the first place? That's kind of weird, actually, because who goes around telling people that they're a Spanish nerd in the first place? That's a good question. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. So how is studying going for you? Acorn, the Snuggabun, how's studying going for you? Or have you studied? That's another question. Oh, 1 second here. Oh, where'd it go? How is studying going for you guys? Not a Spanish nerd. Well, let me know, why aren't you a Spanish nerd? We'll have to change that one. If you aren't a Spanish nerd, let me know in the chat, why aren't you? And if you would like to be one. Because that is the theme today. I'm going to talk about that, being a Spanish nerd. I mean, being a Spanish nerd also is how I've come up with a lot of the different questions that I've been asking in the community section of the community tab of my YouTube channel. Just so you know, that's like how much of a nerd I am. I want to know. I want to ask like as many questions to the audience, to you guys, you Spanish students, about your journey. What is giving you pain when you're learning? Why is it so hard for you? What accents are you practicing and learning? What countries have you been to? Because all that stuff is really important, and it's very interesting to know in general because it's part of your life. So that's why I like being a Spanish nerd, because it's not just something I do for fun, but it's a part of my life. I'm not just like a Spanish student, but it's like a lot more than that. Bienvenidos, everyone who is joining. Thanks for coming. The fun, la fiesta. So let me know in the chat, or take the poll if you're a Spanish nerd, and if you are not, I want to know why you aren't a Spanish nerd. Si no eres, I think it's more difficult unless you're doing it for like a job or something like that. Some people don't have to be like super passionate about it, but they need it for a particular job. So then that's kind of what propels them to keep on learning. Or for example, if you're doing it for a job, it's going to it'd probably be kind of difficult to actually learn everything that you're learning within that particular job. I think if you were a nerd, you'd be a lot more passionate about learning Spanish, and that would just make the whole process a lot easier. So let me know. Let me know any other questions that you have either. If you have any questions about learning Spanish, or just learning Spanish, how I learn Spanish, how I'm learning Spanish, all of the above. Because there's so many different ways to learn Spanish. And I actually just made another video about it. So that'll be coming out kind of soon, or fairly soon, about different ways to learn Spanish. So I'm excited for that. made a video about learning Spanish with 11 top 11 best ways to learn Spanish. Now now I have another video that's going to be giving a lot more tips for you guys for learning Spanish. So I'm excited about that one. So we got 3 votes so far. We got 1 yes and we have 2 no's to the Spanish nerd. So if you aren't a Spanish nerd, let me know why not. I'm a Spanish nerd by accident. So I wasn't actually trying to be a Spanish nerd, but over the past 3 years, I just randomly started to get more passionate about the Spanish language. I started to get more serious about learning it and not trying to sound like a gringo anymore. And I ended up, just from that desire, wanting to get better with my language skills, I started to dive more into the Spanish culture, into the language. Hello, hola, Gaur Danu. No estoy pronunciándola bien. O no la estoy pronunciando bien el nombre, pero hola, bienvenidos. Welcome, Takeda Master. I like that name. Saludos desde los Estados Unidos, por mi parte. I'm in the US. ¿Cómo están ustedes? How are you guys doing? Guys and gals, how are y'all doing? Let me know in the chat. Muy bien. English with Mr. Enriquez. Qué bueno verte. Estoy súper emocionado para tenerte aquí. An English teacher. Like, oh, I think it's the first time I've ever had an English teacher in my live stream. So this is actually very special. So a question for you would be, English with Mr. Enriquez, are you an English nerd? De nada. Muy bien, gracias. Says English with Mr. Enriquez. De nada. I've always been saying that being a Spanish nerd is very important, and it's not like a bad thing. Being a nerd, I feel like in the past has, like, for me at least, was always like a bad thing, but not anymore. I fully accept that I'm a Spanish nerd. No regrets whatsoever. All right, let's see what you guys got. Tequila Master, I'm learning Spanish for several months, but I have much more to learn and could give you some advice. I like your videos and watch them, by the way. Oh, thanks a lot. That's very good to know. I'll get back to that in a second. English with Mr. Enriquez. I think more like a language nerd. All right, so he's not an English nerd, this English teacher, but he is a language nerd. I like that too. I think a little bit of both. I first started as a Spanish nerd. Now I'm kind of getting more into like the French nerd side as well. I'm starting to learn French since the beginning of this year. And let's see, to get a master, some advice. So what kind of advice are you looking for exactly? I guess we can first start like with, what are your language goals? Très bien. Claro. Estoy súper bien. Très bien. And I like that fact too, English with Mr. Enriquez. You got très bien, then you got muy bien. All right, that's a good question. We got bien and we got bien. French and Spanish, very, very similar languages to a certain extent. So let's see. Takeda Master asks, so he wants some advice for how to learn Spanish easier and faster. So if you want to learn Spanish easier and faster, one thing I would say is to have your goals clear. I always start with having goals, because if you don't have goals, then you don't know where you're going. For example, say I wanted to learn Spanish today, right? if I don't know exactly what my goals are, then I'm not going to know what I want to study. We have our goals, and then you have basically your Spanish language resources right after that. So if my goal is to become a Spanish interpreter, for example, right, let's say in 2 years, then that's where I get my Spanish learning materials. And then I also start to develop my Spanish study schedule so I can reach that goal. So that's kind of how I think about it. Many times when I'm not thinking about my goals, I end up just like literally sitting down like this and thinking about, oh, what should I do? I don't know what to study. I don't know how to study because I didn't have that planned out. So that's happened to me. That's happened to me before for like weeks and weeks. So that's like weeks and weeks of not studying Spanish because I had no idea what I didn't want to do. So I think having clear goals and then also knowing which Spanish resources that you would like to study will really help you learn Spanish faster and a lot easier. It's gonna make it easier. You're gonna be a lot more productive, and you won't waste time like I've done a lot during my Spanish learning journey. English from Mr. Enriquez says, but très bien is French too, right? Oh no, that is French. Like tres. Oh wow. So okay, I just realized that tres is tres in Spanish. So tres with the accent, that's French, but without the accent mark, it's just the number three in Spanish, and then bien is just good in Spanish. They just pronounced differently. That's actually kind of interesting. I didn't know that till right now. I didn't realize it. And then Takeda Master says, I use Duolingo and study it at school, but I like to learn some more. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely learn outside of Duolingo. It kind of just depends. Like I said, what do you want to do with with Spanish? But of course, you want to learn it, of course. One thing I would suggest is starting to listen to Spanish music. That's something that I've been doing for the past few years that has helped me a ton. Listen to salsa, listen to merengue, listen to cumbia, listen to what's the other one, punta, and these are all different genres from different Spanish-speaking countries. So that's also going to help you learn a lot more about Spanish because you're not learning just from one particular country, for example, but you're learning from multiple Spanish-speaking countries. Um, so yeah, so outside of school, outside of like your homework assignments or listening to Spanish music, you could start reading extra items as well. Okay, perfect. You already listen to Spanish music. Start reading outside or start reading more. Start reading more. So if you only have to read like an article or something like that for a homework assignment, what you could do instead is basically just read more. Read more news articles or read more about the topic that you're currently on. So if you have to write about a particular topic, let's say about cooking, for example, what you can do instead of just reading the material that you're given from your teacher, you could start to read outside of that material that you get from class. So you could go onto YouTube, start watching videos about that particular topic, about food. So it's still related to your homework assignment, but you're just consuming a lot more content. And then, of course, taking notes as well. And that's also going to give you a lot more deeper knowledge about that topic. So that's kind of what I do right now. I start to read recipes in Spanish so I can have more knowledge about cooking and about cooking, like verbs and like gastronomy has a whole, or like gastronomia has a whole bunch of vocabulary that I'm not necessarily used to. There's a whole bunch of new verbs if you're cooking. I don't know how many verbs when it comes to the kitchen, when you're in the kitchen, but there's a ton. There's a lot of vocabulary related to cooking that I would say is not necessarily advanced, but if you don't use it, then you would never know it even existed. So that's some advice that I would give to you. Yeah, definitely use Duolingo and a little bit of, well, you're probably gonna learn a lot of grammar in school more than likely. Apart from that, absolutely, yeah, make sure that you also speak a lot too. At least in my classes, like when I was in middle school, high school, and college, they didn't make us practice speaking. So instead of not speaking in your classes, after class you can be speaking Spanish, or in between your classes, also speak in Spanish and also think in Spanish as well. So that kind of goes back to the answer to your first question. How do you learn Spanish faster and easier? That's what's going to make it easier. You're going to always have Spanish on your mind. So instead of just, for example, studying Spanish during your classes, right? And just for your homework assignments, you're always going to have Spanish on your mind. And that's kind of like where the Spanish nerd thing comes from too. So you're always thinking about Spanish all the time. Let's see here.